In this video, I'm going to give you 11 tips to write magnetic headlines. And headlines are so important because on average, 5 times as many people read the headline as the body content. And when you've written your headline, you have spent 80 cents of the dollar. Now this is what David Ogilvy said. He was one of the original grand masters of copywriting, one of the big ad men from the 1950s and 60s. And literally he was saying, you've spent 80 cents of your dollar, because he used to buy space in newspapers to advertise. But what that should signal to you, even if you're not buying ads, is how important headlines are. In fact, if you look at what he said here, really you should be spending 5 times the amount of time writing your headline versus the content, because that's what most people are going to read. So now that you understand the importance of headline, let's look at the first tip, which is to start headlines with numbers, such as top 15 websites to find free images for your content marketing, 21 actionable SEO techniques you can use right now, 7 ways to make yourself a happier person every day, 7 secrets, 7 proven, 7 reasons, 7 tips, etc. Now, the great thing about starting your headlines with numbers is that not only does it create a lot of curiosity, so people want to click through and find out the 15 things or the 7 things, it also creates a very easy structure for you to create content because you just have a list. And it also creates a structure that's very easy for people to read because they can just scan down through them quickly. So this is probably the biggest headline tip that you can use and apply easily. And websites like BuzzFeed have built $100 million businesses a year just using this headline tip. Every article on their site is almost starting with a number like this. Now, tip number 2 for writing headlines is to use how-to headlines. They still work. How to make a lavender lemonade to get rid of headaches and anxiety. How to do blank even if common obstacle blank. How to do blank without common objection. And really these ones are very powerful, the how to, even or without, because a lot of people know how to do things, but then they run into problems and the existing solutions don't solve those. So if you really want to grab attention and have something unique and different, including the even if or without, without having how to make YouTube videos without recording any content. That's an example that really is going to grab attention. Third tip to write headlines is to flag common mistakes, such as 16 copywriting mistakes you're probably making and how to fix them. And are you making these 10 common Google AdWords mistakes? Again, it creates that curiosity for people to click through because they want to know, did they make the mistakes? And also it'll help them solve a problem that commonly comes up, and that can get them to their desired location much quicker. Now, the fourth tip to write headlines is to ask questions, such as, do you want to build a snowman? Read this guide first. Think you know SEO? Quiz yourself and find out. These questions are just a great way to engage people and to really get them into the content. Fifth tip to write headlines is to use punctuation. And this is a very simple technique which is especially useful for SEO. So if you want to rank in the Google search engines or the YouTube search engine, putting your keyword at the start of the title can be very helpful. So here's an example. If you wanted to rank for the keyword marketing plan template, the title of your blog post could be marketing plan template. Create your first marketing plan in 5 steps. That's going to give you an advantage in terms of SEO because your keyword is at the start of the title. And it also just makes really clear to people what the post is about. 6th tip to write headlines is to be ultra specific. So you really want to define what the article is about, and remember that the headlines set the expectation for the rest of the article. So try and be really clear about what it is and sum it up in a simple idea. So bad headline, for example, would just be write a song. Good headline would be how to compose your first song, songwriting 101. There's a clear outcome there. Compose your first song and all the basics to it. 7th tip to write headlines is to use the 5 W's. The 5 W's are engaging, interrogative words that are used to gather information like who, what, when, where, why. These are common questions that we ask. And by using them in your headlines, you can articulate to readers the kind of information that you intend to provide. For example, you could say these 7 questions will reveal why you're still single. Here's another example. How to motivate yourself when you don't want to exercise. So include those 5 W's in your headlines. Tip number 8 to write headlines is to pay attention to the headline length. So if you want your headlines to look good and to prevent them from being cut off, make sure your headlines are the right length. And Google typically displays the first 50 or 60 characters of a blog post title in the search results. So you really want to make sure that you're within that range. Otherwise, it's going to be cut off. People aren't going to see it in the search results, and it might not be as compelling for them to click through. 9th tip is to use an image to enhance your headline. And a good image is critical to success. It should really grab the attention of the viewer and help them understand the essence of what the article or video or course has to offer. And if it can really explain visually what your headline is saying, that's even better. So you can get free stock photos at a ton of websites. Here are a couple that I use personally: Unsplash.com, Stocksnap.io, and Pexels.com. And these are copyright free images that you can use across your content. Tip number 10 is to model the best in the business. So in particular, I have found a site called jeffbullis.com. I think he's excellent at writing titles and having good images that go with them. They're really clickable. And for example, here you can see 12 new plugins that will boost your online sales in 2019. Very specific. He's got a number, he's got an outcome, and I really want to see what those 12 are because I want to get that result. 5 fundamental flaws with your brand messaging and ways to fix them. Again, that's kind of the common mistake example. So I would recommend you look at maybe someone in your niche who's very good at writing headlines and take some examples from them, maybe modify them and use them for yourself. Or you can check out Jeff Bullis and just use what his kind of blog posts as templates and adapt them to your own business. Now, tip number 11, the final tip, is to really practice. And as you can see here in this tool, it says copywriters aren't born, they practice. And I would recommend you use this tool. You can just type in 25 headlines into Google and it should pop right up. But the great thing about this tool is that you can really try to write a headline for a blog post 25 times. You can see 25 different ways that you could really market the blog post that you're going to write and see which one really catches your attention the most. And as we said, 5 times as many people are going to read the headline. So it's really recommend that for every piece of content you write or even email, try and write at least 10 different variations of the same thing to see what really grabs attention. The cool thing about this tool is it's got a headline length checker built in, so you can really see that if it's the right length. So they have it for headlines, tweets, and emails. And also they have some kind of templates built in there, so you can write over those and adapt them to the topic that you are working on. So those are the 11 tips to write magnetic headlines. Go ahead and try them for yourself. I think you're going to be very surprised with the results that you can get.